Hey there, creatives. Carrie Lee with the Creative Life Studios, and if you've watched my most recent video, you know that I finally got my hands on the beautiful illustrating Bible from Dayspring. And if you've been doing any research and kind of checking it out, you know that when it comes to the page weight, they say that it is 75% thicker than your average journaling Bible, which if you've used a journaling Bible, you know that it's pretty stinking thin, and so it kind of makes it difficult to use some mediums. So what I thought I would do is I would spend some time testing out some different mediums on this new heavier weight, just to give you an idea if it really is as bleed proof as they say that it is, and then that way you can have a better idea of what mediums you'd like to use in it if you've got it, and it might kind of make your decision about whether you want to invest in it, because you might or might not be able to use more of your products that you already have. So sit back, relax. This is what this whole video is going to be about. We're going to demystify some products in our illustrating Bible and just kind of have some fun, see what works, see what might not. Let's find out. Have a great day. All right, friends, like I said in our introduction, today we're going to be spending some time in our illustrating Bible, just testing out some different mediums and really testing out to see if the pages are as bleed resistant as all of the talk says that they are. What's super cool is you can see I'm kind of at the very back of my Bible. There happens to be a couple of empty pages, which is really good for this moment because I can test out some mediums without having to kind of goof off on some paper or pages that have scripture on it. So I'm super excited to have discovered that while I was figuring this out. So this is going to be part one of a two-part series. Part one that we're doing today is going to deal with our inks and our pens. So we're going to just test out some stuff, try it out, and then part two is where we're going to delve into some different, more mixed media kind of materials, like some acrylic paints and some watercolors and that kind of thing. So let's get started. So I'm going to be using just a stamp from Illustrated Faith. That's just some cute little butterflies, just so it's easy for you to see and that kind of stuff. And you can kind of see I've got my inks kind of lined up over here, and we're going to try out 5 different kinds of inks. So we're going to try out some Adirondack pigment ink. We're going to test out some Distress ink. We're going to test out some Distress oxide, some archival ink, and last and of course not least, we're going to give a little test of the Illustrated Faith ink, which I think this one's called Black Eyed Pea. So this is just one of the back pages. Now I haven't treated it with anything. There's no clear gesso. It's just straight paper. And you know, if you followed my videos or me on Instagram or social media in general, I'm very kind of leery about doing anything without prepping it first. So pray with me. We'll get through this together. So what I'm going to do is I'll stamp it. And I'll probably write on there so I know what I did. And then we'll flip it over and then we'll kind of get an idea of whether it's bled through or if there's just a shadow or if you truly can't see it. So that'll be the kicker as to whether or not, you know, it really works or not. So we're going to start it with our Adirondack ink. This one's in watermelon, and then I've already got it on our little thing here. I haven't used this Adirondack ink in a while. Hopefully it still works. Alright, we're just going to do a little butterfly right here. Might have some black left on it from when I was doing some other stuff. Ooh, so that's super pretty. And let's find a pen. No, we'll just use just a plain old pen. So this is Adirondack pigment. I'm going to turn down the brightness on this just a little bit. I feel like I've got it maybe where you can't see it as well. Let's drop that just a smidge. There we go. So that's our Adirondack. Let's flip it over and see if we... Well, there is a little bit, you can see a little bit of a ghost, just a little bit of the shading on that. Which isn't a deal breaker if you're going to put something on the back, but definitely has a little bit of a shadow to it. Alright, let's try some Distress ink. I don't know why I picked red for both of those. Ooh, my Distress ink looks kind of funky. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. We'll try it. We'll play it. See what happens. All right. So we are trying the Distress ink now. So we're just going to stamp that down in there. I'm going to write what color I used here. Watermelon. Distress ink. And what color is this? Candied apple. Alright, let's flip that over and check that out and see what that looks like. Oh, yeah, that one definitely bled through. Let's do a little test with the candy apple. So these are just some little blender doodads. Let's test if we just blend it rather than stamp it. If maybe, so you can see I just applied some. We're just gonna give it a little rubby-dubby. See if we have the same problem. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, if you use it as a background and not necessarily a stamp, it looks like you might not have as many problems with it bleeding through. It's kind of, yeah, I don't know, never known it to bleed through like that, but you know, this is why we do these kind of tests, check stuff out. All right, so let's move on to our Distress Oxide, which, in case you didn't know, is fairly new, and it gives a much kind of smoother finish and almost a matte finish. So let's get our little butterfly going here. I have a little red left on my butterfly, which is now in my Distress Oxide. Now I'm gonna have to clean it. All right, so let's test our butterfly out. Pretty little red and orange, green butterfly. So you can see just a little bit of a shadow, but I don't think that's a deal breaker. Just a smidge, and that might even be because I had a little Distress ink left on it, but so that's not too bad. That's not too bad. So let's see. This was Distress Oxide in Twisted Citron. Okay. So now let's move on to our archival ink, which is the one I use a lot because it's permanent and waterproof. So if I'm adding more layers, I don't have to worry about lifting up what I'm doing. So we're going to try this one. And it's one of my favorite colors. All right, we'll put this little butterfly right here. Boop. I didn't press it right, but that's okay. So this is our archival ink in Cactus Flower. All right, let's flip over and see what we got. Yep, again, just a little bit of kind of a shadow ghosting effect. Nothing, again, that's really a deal breaker, I don't think, because, again, once you add other stuff to the other side, I think you'd be fine. Let's clean our stamp off again here. All right, lastly, we're going to try the Illustrated Faith stamp ink. It's a beautiful butterfly. Anybody remember A Bug's Life? All right, so we'll just stamp this little guy right here. This is the only color I have in the Illustrated Faith. I don't even know if it comes in any other colors. But it gives a good, nice, crispy image, so that's cool. So, Illustrated Faith and Black Eyed Pea. Let's flip that over. Yeah, so again, you can see a little bit of a ghosting. Not as much, actually, as the other ones. The only one that I see that for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's my ink pad was extra juicy or what, that I had a real big problem with was that distressed ink. So I don't really know sure. You know, a little bit of ghosting on the oxide, but it seems like my pigment ink from Ranger Adirondack Brights, my archival ink, and that Illustrated Faith ink, they seem to do pretty well. A little bit of ghosting through it, but not so much that I feel like it would be distracting that you wouldn't be able to put some other entry on the back of something like this. So not too bad. I could use those. I could get used to those. That would be good. All right, so next we're going to move on to pens, which is, you know, probably one of the other most used things in a journaling Bible. So we're going to try a couple different kinds of pens. We're going to try just some regular graphics pens, some paint pens. Let's see, what else do I have? Some Faber-Castell pens. Of course, both kinds of Sharpies, because who doesn't love a good Sharpie? All right, we're just going to use the same page for this too. So you'll see, well, what I've been writing with has been a Marabou fine liner, their graphics collection. I use it all the time, and I'll go ahead and just flip this over because you can see that none of my writing is barely visible. I can see it a little bit here, actually in my studio, but little to no, just a little bit of ghosting, not too bad. Let's do a little, if we do a little doodle here, like if I wanted to do some squiggles, if I wanted to draw a little flower, yay! So we're going to do Marabou fine liner. So again, you can see no real bleed through, a little bit of ghosted image, but nothing too bad. All right, so let's move on to Sharpies, which is probably the most used, I'm guessing. So we're going to do the same kind of just little doodle, squiggle, squiggle, big squiggle, draw a weird little flower, and we're going to write Sharpie fine. Oh yeah, so check that out. Really, and basically it looks like any place where the ink either overlapped or I might have held it down there for more than just like a quick swipe. There is some bleed through going on right here. That doesn't make my heart happy because I don't like it. I don't like ruining a back page because I'm doing one thing. All right, so now we're gonna try, I cannot find my black chunky Sharpie. So we're gonna do pink because yay for pink. So we're gonna do the same thing, kind of just a squiggly squiggles, draw a funky flower. And this is a Sharpie. I guess this is the fine point. This one is called an ultra fine. So, but it's this kind of the traditional bullet tip. So let's kind of see what we got going on back here. Oh. Yeah, a lot of bleed through on that one. That's not even ghosting. That's legit bleed through. So again, that doesn't make my heart very happy, but I'd rather know now than try it on something and be uber upset later. So far our Marabou fine liner is the best for not bleeding through. But we're going to try a couple of others. So if you're familiar with Faber-Castell, you know they've got a few different versions of this thing called a Pitt Artist pen. It's an Indian ink in a pen, so that means it's light fast, and it's waterproof, and it's acid-free, all that kind of fun stuff. This one happens to be the brush tip, but it all has the same kind of ink, whether you get the fine one or you get the larger Pitt pens and that kind of stuff. So let's do our same little squiggle, 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 loopies, draw our funky flower, and this is Faber-Castell Pitt pen. I think this is called a brush tip. Yes, brush tip. All right, so let's see what that does. Okay, so that actually is not too bad. So you can see, I can hold it down just a little bit. So this would be where the Marabou fine liner is, which you can not really see. I can only see a little bit of ghosting. Sharpie, ultra fine, Sharpie fine. And then this is the Faber-Castell brush tip Pit Artist pen. You can see a little bit of ghosting, not too terribly bad. It is a little bit more than the Marabou, but I think that probably does have to do with the fact that it's a different tip as well. But still, not hating it. Definitely not hating it. So we're going to try a couple more. This is an alcohol ink pen. If you're familiar with alcohol ink, it's a permanent, obviously, ink that's in a pen form, but it's great for blendability if you're into making shading and ombre effects and that kind of stuff. I'm not super great at using them for that yet. I'm kind of in the learning process, but I bought a set just to kind of play with. So this one happens to be just a green. So we're going to use it has two tips. So it's this kind of bullet point and it has a chisel. So for fun, we'll just try both of them. So we'll do our same little circle, 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 squiggles, circle with overlaps. I'm doing those overlaps to really see if that has any effect on whether it bleeds through or not. We're going to draw our funky little flower down. And this is an azure, this is be a Z. Alcohol ink in the bullet tip. So let's see what that looks like on the other side. Yeah, you can see definitely in those places where I wasn't going fast. Like on the squiggles, I was going fast, so it didn't kind of had time to kind of soak in. But where I was writing it, and when it crossed places, it definitely had some bleed through. So I probably don't even need to do the chisel tip, but in the interest of science, I'm going to do it anyway, and we'll give it a try. But I have a feeling it will be even worse than that. So squiggle, squiggle. What else do I do? Squiggle and circle, cross, circle, circle. And then draw our funky flower. And this is azure. I still can't spell it right. Alcohol, ink, and chisel tip. I can pretty much guess what this is going to look like when I flip it over. So, oh yeah, look, that is even worse than our Sharpie. So, yeah. Wah, wah. Oh, that was still wet. All right, what was the last one? So, okay, technically this is a paint pen, but I wasn't sure whether to put it with the paint or put it with the pens. So I might do them both. I don't know. We'll see. So this is just by a company called Pebeo. It is a deco marker, so it's an acrylic paint pen. And I just realized whenever I open this, because I've had these for a while, that it's sparkly. It has glitter in it. All right. So circle, 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 squiggle, circle, do some overlaps, draw our funky flower. And this is a Pebeo Deco, I call it a marker. Yes, Deco marker. And it's sparkly. I hope this really works because now I want to use this. All right, so let's flip this over, see what this little guy does. For being an acrylic paint pen, I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit. It's not bad. It's like I have to point it out, it's not bad. Little bit where I had to cross over multiple times for that flower. And in the words, just a smidge, you can kind of see there, and a couple little dots there and there. Overall, not too bad, especially considering you are using an acrylic paint in a paint pen form. All right, so that is kind of the lowdown, if you will, on some inks. So we tried our Adirondack pigment ink, our Distress ink, our Distress oxide, our archival ink, and our Illustrated Faith ink. And I'll flip it over in the back again so you can kind of get an idea. So just from my personal opinion, it looks like our Adirondack pigment and the Illustrated Faith ink would probably be my first two choices if I was doing stamping directly on the pages without prepping it. Second one would be my archival ink, because it looks like just a smidge popped through and the image is just a little bit stronger of a ghost. Next would be my Distress Oxide. Again, not horrible, not horrible. Distress Ink. I don't know if it was my ink pad or what, but that was some seriously juiciness going on and bled through and not digging it. The pens we went over again are Marabou Fine Liners, Sharpie Ultra Fine, Sharpie Fine, Faber-Castell Pitt pens with the brush tip, and then an alcohol ink marker and a brush tip and a chisel, and then just a fun deco marker from Pebeo. We'll flip that back over real quick. So you can definitely see the winner chicken dinners are going to be the Marabou Fine Liner and probably that Faber-Castell Pitt pen. Both are super great. Sharpie Ultra Fine, not horrible. A few little bleed throughs. You know, in a pinch, if you know you're going to use a light hand with it, I would say you could probably be okay. Sharpie Fine, no. Alcohol ink ones, no. And then the Pebeo acrylic marker pen, not bad. I mean, for being the fact that you're using an acrylic marker pen, not too bad. There's just a couple things. So I hope that helps you make some decisions and hopefully keeps you from making anything that will make you sad, and playing with something in your Bible that might break your little heart if something happens that you didn't intend to. So this is part one. We went over inks and pens. In part two, we are going to go over some acrylic paints and some watercolors. So stay tuned for that one. And I hope this helped you out bunches, and I will see you soon. Have a great day.